Hey, welcome everybody to episode 3 of Snapverse616, and let's grab our sling rings and get ready for something magical.
Got it right that time. There we go.
All right, so first up, we got the weekly bugle. So first up, we're gonna be talking about upcoming content and like store type stuff. And right now in the store, they have a '90s Rogue and Gambit package called Hearts Wild. It's $29.99, so $30 American. And I mean that's a lot of money. So what you get in here might not, really like this one. You gotta love it for the art. Um, but I mean, in my opinion, it's the best X Men cartoon ever. Probably one of the best cartoons ever. So it gets me in the feels, but it doesn't get me in the feels enough to want to buy it personally. But I do know a couple players and streamers who have been like, man, I love it, right in the feels, and they did buy it. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, I feel like.
Well, see, for me, one, uh, I'm perpetually broke, uh, so I tend to play these games as free to play as possible. Um, yes, I have the battle pass this time because it's gifted to me. Um, I bought the first one, missed out on the second one, and then this one was gifted to me. Um, but other than that, I'm basically free to play, so I
Right.
don't see myself picking up really any of these packages. Um,
Well,
First off, I will say that. Second of all, I think this package in particular is overpriced. Um, Part of that is, yes, the art's great, but that's all it is. It's art. Um, you're not getting any like extra to it. It doesn't help you advance your collector's level, um, or anything like that. Um,
but if you did need one of these cards for your deck and you couldn't like manage to draw them naturally, the base variant, by buying this
yeah,
pack, you effectively buy the card. So I can see why, they would do a
yeah,
price, thing, but also it just seems a little much. I think they're definitely trying to hit people in the '90s feels, the nostalgia feels with it.
yeah,
Um,
and that's what my next point was. Is like they are clearly going after the nostalgia of
yeah.
like '90s X Men being to a lot of people the best X Men, uh, particularly in the cartoon. I do not share those opinions. I
Fired.
love
Get a
I
new
I
host.
I, lo- I love the '90s X Men. Don't get me wrong. It is it is great. It is a classic. It should be respected, but it is not the best X Men cartoon. Keep
What
in
your
mind,
opinion is, if that's
I
not
was
certain.
born in '93,
What's
so
your favorite X Men cartoon? What's the best one if this one isn't? Huh?
for me, the best one in terms of art and story, because it wasn't like it actually it had a through line, was X Men Evolutions. Now I understand that
Never seen it.
it was it was a 2000s. It was the
Oh,
cartoon that
that
came
was when I was like in college partying.
it came out in like 2003. I want to
Okay,
say.
okay. Yeah, definitely
So
partied.
like, and even back then, I was a little too old for this show.
Oh,
Like this show was specifically designed to sell toys,
right,
and it was not adult. Like the
right.
show was based around them being in high school. Like that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Was they were in high school trying to have normal lives while also being X Men. Um, so that for me was the better X Men show. Again, don't get me wrong. I've since watched the '90s cartoon. I love it.
Right.
but that art is not enough for me, particularly as a guy that likes to play these games free to play because I'm perpetually broke.
But the theme song is the greatest, and that you have to admit. You can't
Yes,
deny that.
the theme song, the theme song is iconic. So much so that it's been used
Exactly. It's so
in
iconic.
in yeah. I mean, even MCU is pulled, like not
Mm-hmm.
MCU, but
They've used
Sony
that.
does it.
They've used that little bit. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, for me, particularly as a free to play player, it's not enough to. And I was lucky enough to pull the base rogue, so even if I needed to use rogue, I have a base rogue. I don't need.
Yeah.
Now I don't have gambit, but that's fine because like that's not the
Yeah.
style of deck I play. So whatever. Um, so that's my opinion on the whole rogue gambit pack. Is I don't think it's
Right.
worth $30. If it was, you know, 10, 5, something like that,
Right.
yeah, maybe.
I mean,
But 30 for just art?
well,
Uh,
yeah, that's why I think it comes down to the cards. Like, if you need the cards, like if you're trying to build a deck, like one of the decks we actually are going to talk about later for starter do trios when that comes up is Odin Wong Gambit, which can be a really nasty trolley combo that just obliterates somebody's playing field. And if you're really trying to do that because you have Wong and Odin but you don't have Gambit, it could be worth it to get the package. I mean, Rogue steals an ongoing from an opposition card at the location. So I mean, if somebody else was to play Wong, you could steal Wong and have two Wongs. I mean, I could see the
yeah,
benefit. And at 15 per
yeah,
card, if you're going for the cards, okay, it's worth the money. But that's because if you do the math, so if you got the APOC pack, um, you know, you got like 3,000 tokens and all that stuff. But this one you don't get that. But it's approximate to like the $35 gold package you can buy. And if you were to do that, you'd get about um, like either two 1,200 gold cost variants or three 700 gold cost variants. But those are also only for cards you also have the base of, so you won't get a new card. And then 35 gold package then mathematically amounts to around 3,000 to 3,500 credits. Now the APOC package gifted you 9,500 credits, which was worth about plus minus, give take 500 collector levels. And so
depending on where you were, yeah.
yeah, so that's huge. And so, if you're just going for collector's levels and the RNG of pool cards in general that you're trying to get, right? Then you're better off just buying full up, just buying gold and translating it to credits by doing missions every day, and refreshing them and buying credits and etc. Because, and again, that's not the most efficient way to do things, buying the credit straight up with gold, but because the most efficient is to refresh the missions. But you can expect,
Until it starts to deflate too much.
yeah,
Which it's done
yes,
multiple times.
yes, if you do refresh too much, it'll tell you to stop. So that's why there is a limit to what the credits can do for you, or the gold can do for you in terms of credits. So you can expect to get around 166 collector level for the same credit value, which would net you more cards in total. So unless you're going specifically for these cards, there's better ways to invest your money. Um, so that really lets you see how the value comes with just needing these cards for your deck without having the base versions already. Otherwise, like we've said, you just really have to love the artwork, and I love that cartoon. I love it more than Jeremy loves it. I still wouldn't buy the cards for the artwork unless I was like, you know, a millionaire or something. If I was a millionaire, then of course. But that's like, if ifs and nuts were candies and butts.
No, maybe if they gave you like a one art style that I would consider from that show would be a Wolverine, but I'm still
Yeah,
not paying 30.
yeah. I do think they have a Wolverine variant coming up soon. If it's not out already, but I think it's coming up soon because it was data mined. I'm a stoner, so forgive me, but it's gonna be the
I
one
always
from Days of Future Past. Remember where he's running around like all naked and shit, and he's got like the helmet to his head with all the stuff sticking out.
yes,
they're doing that
yeah,
variant. That's coming up soon for Wolverine.
I ain't into that one. But if they, and they've already given you the classic yellow
Yeah,
Wolverine,
yeah,
so it's like I've already got what I want. Pretty sure that's the one in my deck.
yeah.
Actually,
I think they knew the '90s X-Men Wolverine would be too close to a variant already in existence. So why?
well, that and it seems like from the music video, which we'll talk about in a bit, they're really playing on the whole couples thing.
Yes, they're playing on the shipping aspect of stuff, and Rogue and Gambit were a thing in that
Weren't
cartoon.
always a couple.
Yeah, so
Like Wolverine and Jean Grey
Yep.
weren't really a thing until after the '90s cartoon. Like that, then they were.
well, in the cartoon, it was part of the plot points was Wolverine was always trying to steal away Jean Grey.
Yeah, kind of creepy when you think about it. But let's just not think about it.
Bad Canadian representation, don't you think there, eh? I'll leave that to your opinion since you're Canadian.
Leave the maple syrup out of it, okay?
I'm just saying. Why they gotta make the great Canadian hero creepy, that's all.
Well, it's because Americans don't know what's Canadian.
Oh. But yeah, so the artwork I'm a sucker for is like the Scotty Young baby variant stuff. That's like my favorite artwork of all time. But it's already like in game, so how do you get my money from that? But the other thing is, and we haven't really touched on, is you do get player icons, avatars or whatever, right? So if you're into that kind of thing, and personalizing your playboard, or customizing your character, as it were, in the game, your profile and whatnot, then I could see being into that. Like if you were always super into Rogue when you were a kid and you played her on the playground or something, or Gambit on the playground, and you're like, oh man, I can pretend to be Rogue again, but the adult way or something. I don't know. Like I could see it, but avatars, player icons, whatever, they don't really sell me enough on it. Though I do wear my APOC one all the time because paid enough for it.
I'm not knocking those that spend money on cosmetics.
Me either. I did.
Look at Fortnite. Fortnite's a fucking $1 billion game.
I do it a ton in Fallout 76. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm not saying that I'll never spend money on this game.
You're just saying right now. Yeah.
I'm just trying to say that, like, this is not enough to entice me to spend money on the game.
But there are other ones that might, like, one of the ones that's coming up, maybe.
If you give me some MCU variant stuff,
yeah, that would be cool.
Like, give me an MCU Iron Man.
That would be cool. They're probably waiting to pull that one out, into the development cycle. I'd imagine they're probably waiting a while to pull those out because those aren't even in speculated card types yet that you can look up that aren't in the pools and stuff.
It'd be hella expensive to get the rights for that. Because you'd have to pay Robert Downey Jr. himself, I imagine.
Possibly, because I think he gets a cut of Iron Man specifically from his contract. So yeah.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's worded for film rights or what. But yeah, you could potentially be having to be paying him directly, and that could get pricey. But the other reason to do it is it helps with the tie-in event right now, and the tie-in event goes with the music video that we'll talk about later. The tie-in event, if you use Rogue or Gambit in your deck, you get extra rewards. So if you're not playing a lot in a day, but you want to help contribute to the community event as much as possible and get the most out of it, and then get your weekly rewards or login rewards or whatever that come as a result of it, then that might be a good thing to do too. But again, for me, not enough to make me want to buy it. But the next bundle, this one comes out December 17th, so that's like what, a day or so? Yeah, tomorrow.
4 days?
That's tomorrow. No, today's the 16th, so tomorrow. So it's called Shielded Heart, and this one runs from December 17th to the 24th. And now this one's cool because, like some of the other bundles coming up, there's actually 2 out of the 5 we're talking about here that aren't for cash. They're for gold. And you're like, but Smokey, that's still cash. You have to buy gold. Yeah, okay, but you get rewarded gold for stuff.
That's a lot of gold to
It is a
stack
lot
up.
of gold to be stacking up, but since they announced this stuff, I've started saving my gold, and that's only for like a week or two, and I've got like 500 just from playing the game. So while it might not be enough to buy you these packs, consistently, it could definitely make it cheaper to pull one down.
Oh, and it's definitely going to entice people to buy actual gold.
Yeah, that too. It'll actually entice people to buy actual gold and not just wait for like purchase packs they want for straight up cash. So it's a good way to for the devs to get what they need, the influx of money to give us what we want, which is a great game that we can keep playing for free to play or if you want to pay.
Like 5,000 gold is. I'm gonna actually look that up because I don't know how much 5,000 gold would cost me.
Um,
Probably should have looked that up before recording, but
well, I knew that number in my head from before, but I'm autistic, so I lost it.
give me a second. I'm opening up Snap. You can keep talking about it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure because the APOC pack was like $100, right? In gold, but I think it was like 9,000 gold. This is about
It was
half that
130. It was 130
Canadian.
Canadian. Yeah,
So
it's insane. I'm sorry.
I it was actually good value. I got it. It's good value for the collector's
I
tokens. It's a thing that if
again,
you can do it,
coming at
do it. But if
from
you
like a
can't,
free to play. Yeah.
it's not something where it's like, break yourself doing it. But it was definitely something that's like, hey, if you can, this might be a thing to do.
Can't buy 5,000 gold.
No, you have to buy a different
Yeah.
level package.
So you can buy two 3,850 packs, which are $69.99 plus tax.
Canadian, so that would be 50 or 40 or something American.
45
40,
or something like that
yeah,
American.
probably 49.99. I would guess.
Um, or you can buy one 8,000 gold pack for
Right.
$139.99
So
Canadian.
that's a lot of two where it comes in. Save your gold because that way
Yeah.
you don't have to pay for overage.
I mean, I have like 480 gold right now, which is nowhere near 5,000. But I also have not been saving. I've been because I refresh my quests
Right.
all the time.
Yeah, I've stopped doing that since I saw these announcements.
I didn't see these announcements until uh
Yeah, this
you
week
put them
when
in
I
the show docs.
yeah.
Um. Ooh, Wong's in my fucking.
Oh, this guy, he's got Wong in the store. You better pin that motherfucker or buy
I'm buying him.
him. Let's go. Let's go. I've got She-Hulk pinned in mine right now. But yeah, so the other thing you get though with that 5,000 gold is you get 3,000 credits straight up, and that's going to be worth I would say about 200, give or take. Probably give more than take. About 200 plus collector levels. So I mean, boom, you're already getting cards and variants and more credits and tokens and more gold, right? You're already getting all that stuff, boosters, etc., just from spending that 5,000 gold to get the pack, right? But we haven't even talked about like what the real like actual content of it is, aside from just like credit and monetary type things, and that's the variants and the avatars player icons, which are Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, and Doctor Doom, and you can see them right here on the stream here or on the podcast here rather, and they're cool. I really like the Invisible Woman. I think she looks cool. It kind of gives me the feels of like old school, like 60s cartoons, like Hanna-Barbera and stuff like that. Maybe not like Hanna-Barbera, but I don't know, like Johnny Quest and all them old school cartoons. Like she kind of looks like that, and I think it's dope. But she also looks a little like prismatic, which is kind of cool. And then Mr. Fantastic, he looks all right, but he's got this like Gumby leg thing going, which I know that's his jam. I know that's his power, but it looks kind of odd in this particular artwork. I feel like this one played better when it was on the cover than the artwork on the card, which is something we're going to be talking about not in this episode of the podcast, but we will be talking about variants and the behind the scenes of it, so to speak, of like the artist that made it, the actual comic covers that they were on, the issue, etc., and what it looked like full version instead of the cropped and kind of like adjusted versions they put on the cards. The last one's Doc Doom. He's got kind of like a green glowy hands thing going. He looks all right, but none of these really like blow me away in terms of the art. And I don't really play Invisible Woman or Mr. Fantastic. I do have Doc Doom, but I have a different variant that I like better. So for me, the artwork's not going to sell me on it. And for 5,000 gold, 3,000 credits is a little light for me. I don't want to like get in on this one if I don't like the art.
Well, I mean, 5,000 gold is 2,500 cheaper than the APOC. I just looked it up.
Okay. Yeah, so if it's only 2,500 cheaper than APOC, and you're getting less than half the credits you got for APOC, which is 9,500, that doesn't really translate to a win unless you like the artwork. So this is really about the artwork. But the next one we have is another one that costs gold, so save your gold. And if you're going to save your gold for one, this is the one. And if you're going to get one of these bundles, in my opinion, this next one's the one.
Oh, I just pulled Thor. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So this next one's called Winter Wonderland, and it has Sunspot in a hot tub with a rubber ducky. And I just think that's fucking amazing. And you can see like the mountainscape behind him, you know, the ski chalet kind of thing, and he's just chilling, having a good time, you know what I mean? And like you know, artwork alone, dude, love it. I would want to buy it for, you know, a small amount of money if it was the thing on its own. I would consider it because it's pretty great. And I use Sunspot in my Infinite deck. I use him to round out the energy costs in Silver Surfer decks a lot of times. So Sunspot would be in my rotation. I would definitely see him in my rotation. I would consider it. But what really works here, and this is like the New Year Christmas one. This is like the spend your Christmas money, kids, kind of bundle here. Because this one's going to run from December 21st, just before Christmas, to after the New Year till January 3rd. So pretty much all the holiday monies, you know, that you get from the different, you know, winter holidays that we all celebrate, you know, if we do. And they're targeting that, basically. So with that date range, I believe. But the cost on this one is 6,000 gold. So for a mere 1,000 gold more than the last package we talked about, you get a badass Sunspot. You get 8,000 credits, more than double the previous one, for a mere 1,000 gold more. This is the one to save it for. This is the one right here. And not only is that 8,000 credits going to mean about 500 collector levels, just like the 9,500 credits did with the APOC pack, but you're also going to get 2,000 collector's tokens. Not a bad deal there, because this is literally the best way to get that many at one point. You can't get this many at one time any other way. It's just not possible. You know, like, and not only that, but you're going to get probably another 1,000 from those 500 collector levels, or, you know, give or take, maybe 800, you know. And that's going to knock you up to about 3,000 collector's tokens, which is going to be just about enough to buy one really good card from the shop, or 3 pool 3 cards that you really just are desperate to have to fix your deck. So that's going to be a really good one. Plus you get 100 Sunspot boosters and a really dope title. You get a title, Tacos After This? Question mark, which I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Kind of speaks to your inner Gur, like from Invader Zim for me anyway. I know when Amy texts me, my phone goes off. It goes tacos when Gurr shouts it. So, but yeah, I feel like that's the one to save for. Like that's a good value.
I would agree, especially since it is only gold. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So save your gold leading into the event, and if you're lucky, by January 3rd, because it's a couple weeks away, you could have, and don't wait till like late January 3rd or something like that, but by January 2nd or something, even you should have enough gold saved up at this point, because like over the past like what week and a half, I've saved 500 just from playing and doing my dailies and all that. You could have around 1/3 of the package cost maybe by then, so that's not something to miss out on. So definitely get your playing in. Make sure you're doing your daily missions and all that stuff to get that gold up, leading into that, to save yourself as much money as possible. And then
And that's when you're because you get gold fairly frequently from that too. So
yes, that's from what now?
collector's level.
Collector's level. Yes, exactly. You'll get gold frequently from that. Yeah. So it'll actually return you a good chunk of the gold just from those 500 collector levels,
Yeah.
that you had to spend. So that's actually pretty cool. So the stuff you save now, you're just trading it for later, basically. What's our next? Package that's coming up?
Our next package is.
I think it's called Line in the Sand.
Yes, that's which is. I'm just trying to get the right view again because it's going to change on me.
I think this one's like a literal holiday event.
Line in the Sand is December 24th to 31. It costs $19.99, and I'm assuming that's US.
Yeah, that's US.
You get 500 credits, which, ooh, that's not a lot.
Yeah, it's literally you can upgrade one card from Ultra to Infinite. Wow.
Chibi variants and player icons of Spider-Man and Sandman, which, from the
Yeah.
music video, that was what caught my eye, but also not enough to, you know,
Yeah, that's a lot of money for 500 credits and artwork. I mean, the Spider-Man's adorable. The Sandman's pretty cool, but I don't know too many decks running Sandman out there. I do see Spider-Man semi-frequently, so I feel like there's not going to be a lot of players out there that are like, oh man, these are the things I need to have in my life. This is absolutely the thing I have to have. So, they're the chibi variants too, which I know is kind of hit or miss. I know some folks really love them, and then some folks feel like there's only a couple good ones, and most of them aren't that enticing. So, it's not one of the ones like baby variants or something where everybody loves it, or pixel variants where everybody's kind of like, because there's only like so many pixel variants that actually look really good. Most of them are just kind of bland.
yeah.
And then like the Spider-Man looks cute because he's kind of got this winking thing going on, you know what I mean? But like, and the Sandman smile, and he's got this like Band-Aid on his arm, which is like funny because why would a dude made of sand have a Band-Aid? But like, if you're not into these decks, I'd pass on this one. That's a lot of money for just basically artwork and one infinite upgrade. So
Yeah, 1999 is a bit much.
our next one though has some really nice art, especially if you're into anime, because it's anime variants, and that's the Starlit Connection, which is like the New Year event running from December 31st till January 7th. That one though, $49.99. That's like half the price of APOC kind of pack right there. That's USD. You get 4,000 credits, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that lines up in terms of credit value with the APOC pack and the other one because 4,000 at 50 is about half of what the others were, and the cost is about half. But the thing is, you don't get any collector's tokens. You know?
Yeah, that's a rough one to not get, collector's tokens for that cost.
Right.
Like I understand not getting collector's tokens for like, the gold ones. That's fine.
Well, the small
But
gold ones, because that big gold one had them.
yeah, but like not getting them for something that you're paying real money for.
Especially if it's over like $20. The $20 ones I can understand a little bit, but like once you're getting into like 30 to $50, I feel like collector's tokens is something you're gonna want to see for that money. But do you feel they don't do it because they don't want to make it too pay to win, despite the fact that matchmaking only puts you in the same collector pools?
I don't think like because they're only cosmetic. I don't think that there is a real true to pay to
Well, I was
win
saying if they
situation.
added the tokens, is that why they don't? Like, do you
Um,
think that's why maybe they don't add tokens to all of these packages that cost real world money versus gold because there's no way to actually save up real world money in the game?
I don't. But see, a lot of people would be concerned that that would break the economy. Like if they added tokens, they would break the economy and it
Yeah,
would make matchmaking a nightmare.
yeah.
I don't think it would. But like, because competitively,
Well, it's based off of collector level and your ranking, so you can't just run
yeah,
into somebody with like 12 Thanos type decks and shit, you know?
yeah. I mean, I understand the concern. I just don't know if I see it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. So I think it would be personally okay to add the tokens because I think the balance is that even if you get this many tokens, you're really getting one, two cards over a vast period of time. You're not just like dumping money at something and going, haha, now I've got the 30 cards that can beat everyone in the world because I had the money for it, which is a lot like Magic the Gathering, right? But this, I feel like,
Yeah.
even 2,000 collector's tokens in that other package, I mean, that gets you half of the top tier card, with the CL adjustment we were talking about where you pick up about another 1,000 tokens. You get like 3,000. That's one tier 4 and half of a tier 5, which is, you can't really pay to win super hard that way. That said, I was able to pick up Shuri and Wong and some other stuff, Psylocke and stuff, because I did the APOC pack. So there is something to be said for it can make or break one card that you need in a deck, which I think is important.
It could, but for me, it's like when I compare what they're doing in this game in terms of like paying to win versus all
Right,
the other card games,
right.
this is nothing. Like,
Exactly. I agree.
I mean, I can see how it could be a grindy mentality. Like if you don't want to spend, your collector's tokens, or
Right,
you want to be able to buy collector's
right.
tokens, um, but you don't want to spend real money, then yeah, you're gonna grind. But what else are you gonna be doing?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. If
it's
you
a
love the
card
game, that's
game.
what you're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, like name another card game where this isn't a thing that you have to do. Like, if you enjoy the
right.
game, you're gonna be playing it. It's not grinding.
Literally, I mean, literally poker, right? What do they call a guy who plays poker for a living? A grinder.
Grinder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean,
That's all we does.
that's
It's
where it
fucking
comes. Yeah,
poker.
that's where it comes from. Card games. Yeah, it's always going to be grinding. So yeah, I don't think it's very pay to win. I think it's pretty balanced that way because it does take quite a bit to actually pull something out of the shop with them, with those collector's tokens, and then the rate that they're putting them in for a cash or gold value, where you can just straight up buy them, is definitely well paced. Because, like for example, I've got She-Hulk just sitting in my store right now, pinned, because there isn't enough money in the world to dump to get her. You know what I mean? Like, and you can only buy credits for gold so much in a day and only refresh missions so much in a day. Like they actively stop you from paying to win. So yeah, I feel like it's
I
pretty
like
balanced.
I like that you can pin.
Yeah, that's the best feature of the collector token shop. Is being able to
I
target a
like
specific card like that.
I also like that you're not buying packs. You're buying individual, specific cards.
Yeah,
So if you know you need this card, wait for it to show up, pin it, wait till you have the points, buy it.
yeah. Now I have heard some
Unlike
people say they would like a card building system in the game, like where you can, break down other cards or break other things down or whatever in some capacity so that you could craft cards.
no,
But I don't think
I
that would work here.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, me either.
Having played games that have it in it.
I've seen games that have it in it, but I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of that.
The biggest one that has that in it, and I understand why people are drawing the comparison because of the dev. Hearthstone,
Right.
like that's how they run it. But you're buying packs, so you're getting one of cards that you don't want,
Yeah, and it makes that necessary. Yeah.
and you're spending a shit ton of money to get all those packs for cards that you'll never use. Whereas
Right.
with this game, you're
Right.
getting one card at a time,
Yep.
right? Even when you're just starting, you're getting one card at a
Yep.
time.
Even if they're the same
And
ones for everybody for the first few levels, it's just one at a time. Yep.
it's almost like, ooh, what card am I going to get next? You know?
Yeah.
It's exciting to pull your next card. It's not like, oh, I'm buying a pack that's got 12 cards in it, and 11 of those 12 cards are going to be the same card that I pulled 100 fucking
Exactly.
times.
That's something I love about this game. You're never pulling duplicate loot aside from boosters or like collector's tokens, credits, gold. You don't.
And boosters. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You don't like the card? Don't use the boosters.
Yeah. Or I mean, even if you don't like a card, hell, you get the boosters, you up your CL with them. So either
So
way,
eventually you get a new card,
yeah,
or you get collector's tokens, or you get
exactly.
gold, or you get credits, or you get a variant of a card that you do like.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like the building system would be excessive for one in this game, and two, how would you even really use it because you don't get duplicate loot? You know what I mean? Like it would make it really hard to implement because they did such a good job making sure that every loot pool you get is brand new.
the only way they'd be able to do it, in my opinion, would be to start introducing packs.
And nobody
And
wants
if
that.
they, and I'm sorry if they started introducing packs, I probably would stop playing the game.
Well, I wouldn't, but I would be very disappointed if they started introducing packs versus caches.
I would give them a chance. I would. I'm not saying I would stop instantly, but I know the rabbit hole that leads down.
I think they do too because they've been there. They've had that game before, and it fell off. Even with a big IP like Blizzard behind it. So I feel like,
They also got into some trouble
well,
because
yes, yes,
political.
yes. There were also some other issues because Blizzard has notorious problems, but we won't get into that
Yeah,
here. But you can definitely
yeah.
look that up if you're wondering what we're talking about. It's very easy to see. In fact, the Game Awards were crashed by someone this last Game Awards when our game here, Snap, that we love, just won Mobile Game of the Year. Someone crashed the awards during the announcement for Elden Ring Game of the Year, who has a history of crashing things related to Blizzard and also related to the situation we're talking about. So if you're wondering what that was about, go down that rabbit hole.
Having watched that live, nobody knew what was going on, which is kind of scary.
Very scary.
Uh,
Like that's a huge security issue. Very scary.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this one for $49.99 Starlit Connection, you get the 4,000 credits and that's cool, but it's a lot for 4,000 credits without any collector's tokens. So it's another one where you really have to like the card art or want the player icon because there
I
are.
like Angela.
You like Angela? Yeah, she looks good. I think Sarah looks cute.
What am I going to spend 4,000 credits on it, or $49.99
No.
on it?
No.
No.
No. Like and there are better, cheaper, and more efficient ways to climb 250 approximately collector levels than this. So it really comes down to the card art for the variants and stuff.
Also, eventually, those cards will be pullable. So I'll be able to randomly pull those cards eventually.
Yeah,
So
so
for
eventually you'll have a
one of
chance.
them,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
And that's all the packages that are coming up. So save your money for Winter Wonderland. Save your gold for that. And then our last thing that we have for news is about the origin of all this shipping, coupling sort of packages we just went through. And it's the Hero featuring Martin Garrix and JVKE music video. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Interesting art to start it with.
Yeah, the Hero art. Yeah.
Very interesting art. Um, Very eye catching.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was
I
definitely cool.
like that it tied in very well to the cards they were releasing. Obviously, that was a design choice. Um, and
Yeah.
this was released like literally the day of the Game Awards
Yeah.
before they won Mobile Game of the Year. Um,
Yeah, they were definitely planning to hype up the game win or lose.
yeah, well, I mean, they showed a snippet of it at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Um, After they won the award, I believe.
That's cool.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's cool.
But so it was like, yeah, and I completely forgot about it until again I saw it in the show notes this week. So yeah, like I love anime. Like, anime, I don't watch a lot of it because people look at me like I'm weird.
Oh,
And
that's
I
not a
do.
reason not to watch anime.
I understand that. Very self-conscious. Um, so I don't watch a lot of it. I love it. So like when there's something cool like this that kind of mixes a bunch of things that I like, being Marvel, animation,
And
because
Snap.
I've always wanted to do animation because I
Right.
think it's really freaking cool.
That's actually how I came up in film and stuff like that was animation. That's what I studied when I was a kid.
And I understand how difficult it is. I mean, the animation that I've done, I can't draw because of my disability.
Right.
Drawing is not a thing that I'm great at. Um, so I've done stop motion animation.
Yeah. That's fun though.
And let me tell you, that gives you a whole other appreciation
Right.
to people that do frame by frame art to make this thing work. You know,
Right.
um, to me, very cool, uh, interesting song. Um, the fact that it's very couple related, and the fact that the first people in the event were Gambit and Rogue,
Yeah.
very interesting. Especially since Gambit wasn't always / isn't always a hero.
Right.
Um, but a lot of people love him. So good choice, I guess. Maybe not the couple that I would have started with,
Well, you do get
but
Storm right away, and we already had Black Panther. So, because that was, I think,
yeah,
one of the first couples too that they showed in the music video, if I'm not mistaken. But
was
we
the
are,
first with
yeah,
Black
it was
Panther.
the first actually, yeah. And so we already had the Black Panther variant from last Battle Pass, um, and then we had the Storm variant that you can get through the tie-in event. Check your inbox that we talked about last week.
Oh, I finally got that, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So just keep checking if you didn't get it. Keep checking. Just keep checking your inbox. Make sure you get it.
Took me a week, but I finally got it.
Yeah, it can lag, so just make sure you check. And then, speaking of tie-in events, the Hero music video and the Game Awards win and all that, in addition to the Storm variant, had this big tie-in with like a fake like faux DJ spinning thing screen. Now, if you're like Smokey, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I play this on PC only, and I'm not ever seeing what you're saying. Okay, make sure you have this installed on a mobile device in some capacity so that you can at least check your inbox and news stuff. Otherwise, you may have issues receiving rewards. Two, you won't be able to see the flippy screen, the swipey screen with all the news on PC. It doesn't update, refresh, work properly yet. So, and that is a known issue they have.
It does, but it's very glitchy. It
Yeah,
will work.
but it doesn't always
Okay.
update as quickly as the mobile app either. So right now, sometimes you don't see the tie-in event on it. So load that thing up on mobile, click join tie-in event, and then it'll take you to a screen. There'll be a little record DJ booth, and you just click it, and it goes error, error, and spins it and gives you your it takes like your cube wins and games and all that, translates them into record spins, and then those get added to a community event. That this is all a community event. Think like Gates of Encourage and WoW, or the recent Brotherhood of Steel event and Fallout 76, stuff like that, where like people all over the
The
world
Olympics,
all get
the
together to
Olympics
update something.
in Overwatch.
What in Overwatch?
The Olympics in Overwatch.
Yes, that's right. When we had to all do something together, play a certain amount together to unlock tie-in skins and things like that. So same thing here. We all got to work together to do it. So make sure when you are on your mobile device, at least the one time a day, click join tie-in event, and click that little DJ booth, spin it, and then you send the cubes off to, or the records off to the global pool, and then there's rewards from there's like a few stages of them. You get gold, credits, etc. But the big one at the end is we can all unlock a player icon based off of the storm card variant we were already awarded. So definitely make sure you're doing that and collecting those records and spinning them.
And I've also learned this the hard way. Make sure your app is updated.
Yes, because sometimes it will let you play even though you didn't update because there wasn't a matchmaking or card patch update, and it was just like a UI update or something, and you won't see the news, you won't see the inbox, and that's how Jeremy missed out on his card for a week before it finally loaded in.
Yep.
So that's definitely a good tip. Definitely a good tip for everybody. But that's all the news. That's for the weekly Bugle, and we'll be back with Smokey strategy for success.
Freak, did I pick that? I literally just had something in my hand that I was like fidgeting with. Oh, there it is.
Mm. So this week in Smokey strategy for success, we're talking about under aggression, and
I do a lot.
and it can hurt you as much as over aggression because there are cubes you're leaving on the table that you don't know you're leaving on the table because you weren't confident enough or aggressive enough in the right point. And we've talked about being calculated with the aggression and so on. So like what this is really about is the value in not being afraid to snap unless you have perfect conditions. And so you don't want to sit there going, well, I don't have exactly the perfect thing. So there's like one or two things in the entire multiverse that could foil my plans. So better not.
So I'm not going to snap, and instead of getting 4 cubes, I get
two.
2
Yeah.
or 1.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably get 2 because I doubt they'd retreat if you didn't snap. But yeah. So timidity is.
Unless you're doing the same thing you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like either one gets snapped, and they're just like, I didn't get the right pull.
Yeah, and you're both just kind of Spider-Man pointing at each other. Yeah.
Who's gonna bite first?
Exactly. And so timidity, that being afraid to snap unless you have the perfect conditions. Timidity is something your opponent can often sense and take advantage of. and then you're going to lose one cube in any hand you didn't get the exact right conditions, hands, draws, locations, card played against you, because they'll snap once they know you're willing to fold so easily. And at some point in the match, they're going to figure that out, and then you're just going to lose a cube. But then only snapping on perfect conditions might seem reasonable. You might go, Smokey, but why should I be trying to risk my cubes when I don't know 100% I'm going to win? Well, we'll also get to pot odds during the superhero system section of this, but for now, it's actually counterintuitive to only snap on perfect conditions, because your opponent has the best chance to recognize their need for retreat when you achieve perfect conditions. And so what that means is
basically, if you're waiting for a perfect card to pull and you pull it, you instantly snap. Well, your opponent's going to know that you just pulled presumably your perfect hand. And so they're going to instantly be like, do I want to stick this out or do I want to run? 9 times out of 10, they're going to run because they don't want to lose 8
exactly.
cubes or
exactly. So now you're only getting 1 cube per win when you're only waiting for perfect conditions, unless the guy that you're playing, unless that person is short on knowledge about the situation, which can happen. But short of that, I mean, so you're banking on somebody's ignorance of the game rather than on the odds and play style, and and that's what you need to be taking advantage of. So,
and I will tell you, once you get to about rank 30 right about now, you're running into people that have game knowledge. You're not running into newbies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna guess that our average viewer's probably much higher than rank 30. Like probably up near like 60. I'm gonna guess is probably our average viewer. So, which is higher than me. So like, just expect
okay,
that your opponent has game knowledge and kind of knows strategies.
Yeah.
And play these mind games.
And when you get closer to like Diamond, Vibranium, 60, 70, people start retreating much more in the later rounds. So it becomes more important to identify your win conditions and stuff early and know when to take the risk earlier than that turn 6 or turn 5 maybe for snapping, because that's how you end up going, oh shit, he retreated and I could have got more. So
I'm getting to the point where like turn 3 is when I make my decision what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I start the game with a good enough hand and turn 3 rolls around and the locations aren't going to screw me, that's when I make my decision whether I'm retreating or I'm going full.
Yeah.
Playing the game out.
And
and that doesn't mean snap, but that does mean make my decision on my strategy. Am I gonna take the chance, or am I gonna chalk this up to a loss?
Yeah, you've already made the decision what you're gonna do there, and nothing the opponent does at that point, aside from making a bad play or something, is gonna change your what dictates your play there.
And this goes from previous weeks where we've talked about knowing your deck.
Yep.
But also knowing your opponent's deck.
Yep.
So it's like, if I know my deck well enough, come turn 3, and I've seen what he's played, so I have some idea what's in his deck, I'm able to make an educated guess as to whether or not, sorry, I'm multitasking.
No, you're good.
As to whether or not I can make an aggression.
Yeah.
And snap, or wait another turn or 2 before I snap.
Right.
But like by turn 3, I've decided if I'm staying in the game or not.
Right. Now for me, it's a little. I might wait a little later because my deck doesn't really do much for the first 3 turns. Sometimes it's really like if I don't get Psylocke on turn 2, I'm really waiting to play my big power cards 4, 5, and 6. So if I have them in hand, that's one thing. But if I'm trying to draw like one of them or something, I might, based on stuff we said before about like, staying in it if they're not snapping, et cetera, et cetera. I might wait before I decide it's a retreat condition. just because I don't have that one card, etc. And again, talking about drawing one card versus two cards, we talked about that in episode 1. So like based on all that stuff, yes, risk does not always pay off. No, but
being cautious doesn't either.
right, being too cautious doesn't pay off either. And calculated risk will pay off more than it loses in the long run, which is why we suggest using our Marvel Snap Tracker to keep track of your wins, losses, and all that, and wins, losses by deck, and get that kind of data so you can see as you're playing, what kind of streaks you're actually doing, what kind of wins and losses you're actually accruing. That way you can actually see, hey, you know what? My calculated risk really does actually pay off in the long run more than it loses. And
my man.
I mean, we're both stoners. I think most of our viewers are stoners. But yeah, like, so if you don't believe us on, calculated risk paying off more than it loses in the long run, two things. Get the Marvel Snap Tracker, try to prove us wrong. I'd love to see you prove us wrong on that, because I guarantee if you're following everything we're talking about, if you're doing everything we're talking about, you're playing it the superhero system way, you're not going to have anything but calculated risks, and you're going to gain. You're going to grind upward. You're going to climb. It might not always be as noticeable every day, but you will grind up.
Also, I'll tell you this: if you're using our system and you feel like it's not working, and like you see loopholes to our system,
make suggestions.
Send us clips.
Yep.
As well, like explaining where you think it's gone wrong.
And maybe we can figure out if it's something you did in your play style, or if, hey, that was just one of those times you lose.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody's gonna win every game.
Right.
Like, I mean, I've been on a really bad streak lately. Actually.
Oh, I had a hell of a time. I had a hell of a time this season.
I think I'm on a 5-game losing streak right now.
Yep.
But like, prior to this, I went on a 15-game streak.
Exactly.
So it's like.
So you can just sit there and look at it and go, you know what? This math will just balance out. Yes, that's a 5-game losing streak, but since I just went on a 15-game winning streak, mathematically, that's going to happen. It's fine. No big deal. And I'm winning more than I'm losing. And that helps you go from, tilting and getting mad at yourself, getting mad at the game, getting frustrated and making worse decisions because your brain, isn't vibing right for the situation you're in, It's not vibing for doing math and odds. You've got your mechanism up there. You got it clouded because of this. Then it's important, to have something that keeps you grounded, and the tracker will do that. But if you see that, like we said, if you see that the system's not working for you in some way, please let us know. Clip it if you can, and come on in and let us know. And we have a dog right here live on stream that has an issue with superhero system and is letting us know. So I mean, if a dog can do it, you can do it. All right, and we're back with Invoke's accessible vacation locations.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just making sure that my bong's not in camera.
Only slightly.
There we go. Dear God, Kev.
So I think this week we had a new location, as well as we had one we've seen before, but both were for the event, like the weekly events.
Yeah. So Baxter Building's the one we've seen before. Whoever's winning this location gets +3 to all other locations. Whether you're winning the other 2 locations or not, you get +3.
Yep.
I see in here you had a note as to questioning whether or not it was worth focusing on specifically Baxter's Building, or maybe put your focus in the other 2 locations.
Yep.
For me, as a person who I like the different variants that these locations add to the game, when I see Baxter's building, that is one location that I do tend to focus on. Um, One, because I tend to play lower cost decks. Uh, so inherently I have less root strength in my decks. So like a +3 can put me over the top, or can be good for defense. So if I'm playing like say my Silver Surfer deck, I might lay like that 3 cost 7 power card. I would lay that at Baxter as opposed to one of the other two locations because I can lay other lower power cost 3 cards like Silver Surfer that has 0
Right.
attack there as well, and still possibly come out with the win at Baxter. So if I do like say that the 7 power card Silver Surfer and I don't know, we'll say I think I have Wolverine in my deck. Play Wolverine there too,
Okay.
or a Goose. A Goose is a good one
Yeah,
because he can do they can't lay their high power cards there,
that's
which
true.
would sure up winning at Baxter or possibly winning at Baxter
Yeah, that's good.
without giving up a lot of power to the other locations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The only high power card I'm giving up is the 7 power, but I'm blocking every other card I lay with like a Silver Surfer. They can't lay high power cards to counter my 7 power and whatever else I decide to lay there. So if I can lay, 3 or 4 cards at the other two locations too, plus get that +3, right? It's a good combination spread out play because most people expect that 2 location push. So
Yeah.
their mentality is a little more split than my mentality would be. Whereas like, yeah, I'm wasting a lot on a location like Baxter Building that only gives you +3.
Right.
But it's a location that, they're going to be worried about knowing that I'm putting all this emphasis on Baxter. Their concern is going to be like, okay, how am I going to split my cards to match the other two locations, right?
Yeah.
So I only have to win one of the other two locations as opposed to having to win 2 of 3, right?
Right.
Game theory a bit, right?
Right.
Whereas you want to change it, you're given a chance to open a door 3 times. Each time you get the chance to choose your change your choice, right? Well, smart money says don't change your choice. With me focusing on Baxter's voting when I see it, and that's essentially me not changing my choice, but making them have to change theirs.
Right.
Because they're not going to want to put the effort into just +3. But that +3 could put
Cassie
me over
approves.
the top at one of the other two locations. So it gives me better odds of winning, essentially.
I think Cassie agrees.
I think you're just being a little annoying goofball.
Yeah, she is. But it's kind of like having a Mr. Fantastic play, kind of, without a Mr. Fantastic play. Or having a split claw down the middle kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So, me being a bad podcaster, we're going to talk about the new location. Though I've never played said new location.
boo!
I've been on a bit of a video game.
All good, man. But boo! But it's all good, though. But boo! No, it's all good. Boo! It's all good, though.
I'll tell you, the last time I played Marvel Snap was the night I told you I couldn't keep track of my wins.
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't get logged into the Google account.
Yeah.
I haven't played since then.
Man, you gotta have, like, backup for that. Damn.
Well, the thing is, I do, but it was the spreadsheet that was broken, right?
Oh, well, we fixed the new one. You're using the old
Yeah,
one.
and that's no. I've been using the new one, but I still have the old one on my other Google.
Oh, I see. So it was the old one that was broken. I'm just clarifying for people watching at home that they know the thing
Or
actually
Google
works.
account. Okay, it's a problem.
It's a Jeremy and Google issue, not a Duke Queen of Spreadsheets issue.
Exactly. It's a me issue. Um,
Yeah,
so I haven't played the new locations.
it's cool though. It's like Venom in a box. I mean, when you think about it, every location in some way mimics a character ability. You know, when you think about it, uh, to an extent. I mean, so like Galactus, right, pops in, nukes the game except for the one location. Well, there's also the one location that nukes the other two locations. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
Clintar is like the Venom location, basically. And the difference being, though, when this one happens is turn based, so after turn 4, so at the end of turn 4, which has some implications for a lot of decks that use cards like Wong and Shuri, 4 cost cards that are very integral. Sorry, I was going to say intricate, but wrong word. Integral to their plan because they can't play that at Clintar. Because if they do, nom 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 nom, they all become one symbiote with their collective power. Much like Venom eats everything at a location, becomes a Venom with the collective power. The difference is,
But after turn 4, you could still wait.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So the benefit here is if you have a lot of low cost cards that you played for one off abilities, or 2 cost cards or whatever, like low cost cards. Let's just say low cost cards you played for one off abilities. Psylocke. When I play Psylocke, I'm only getting her benefit
or,
one turn. Next turn, +1 energy. So if she gets eaten up,
or,
yeah, Squirrel Girl, exactly. If she gets eaten up, cool. The squirrels are already out. No big deal. And the thing is, even in a Khazar deck, like you like to run, this
yeah.
symbiote's still going to be a 1 cost as opposed to the 3 cost for Venom. So the thing that separates it when you're talking about Squirrel Girl is that you can still get the effective buff on top of extra space to play something else. And
Matter of fact, it would be more effective
yeah,
in like other than the fact of Killmonger.
right,
God, I hate that card.
right.
Um, I absolutely hate that card. I hate it.
It bugs me a
Fucking hate
bit,
it.
but not as much as it used to.
I I miss my Khazar deck, man, and I straight up can't play it
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Everybody has a fucking
I
Killmonger.
think that's why they put Silver Surfer in the way they did when they changed him up from how we thought he was going to be in episode 1, and then they changed him, and we put that in the last episode, the update, because he's kind of like the Khazar of the 3 cost that gives him,
I
that
I
insulation against
don't
Killmonger.
disagree. I don't disagree, but I find that the Silver Surfer's deck is not as effective uh, because it's a 3 cost based deck. You only get a max of 6 energy, 7 if you get a limbo, or like a 9 if you get like a +5 energy or whatever, right?
Yeah, but
But
it's about having a lot of 3 cost cards that you can play, in conjunction with some low cost cards. So the way it would work is essentially, and you want to have something like Lockjaw or not Swarm
I
but Brood,
mean,
because when you play Brood, it duplicates itself, right? So that's like the
oh, yeah.
Squirrel Girl of the 3 cost world. So there are ways to really do it up
Oh
like
no, no,
Kazar the same way. You just have to have the right cards.
I'm not saying it was not. But my point is because they're 3 cost cards as opposed to 1 cost cards, there's a more linear progression, and there's less cards that you can lay in a game.
That's where
Like,
Lockjaw comes in because you actually lay the same amount of cards in the end.
I mean, I understand that, but like, say you get a game that you don't get Lockjaw, right? There's more linear path um, to a Silver Surfer deck than there was
I
to
mean,
my Kazar deck.
yeah, you're not wrong, but there's counters and complications to it where like you would get like a Maximus in there, right? So a 3/7 or a Wolfsbane that builds herself up the more cards you have in there. Now,
Yeah.
so like you
Right.
have
Right.
insulation aspects against if you didn't draw the lockjaw, for example. If you didn't draw lockjaw, then ostensibly you would have drawn one of your more powerful 3 cost cards because you only have so many in the deck. And you can use things to also make it easier to get the cards you need when you get it, like putting America at the end. You can also make sure you do put enough 1 and 2 cost cards. This also makes Sunspot work well with Silver Surfer because he can soak up the energy you don't use. But like there's a lot of different combos you can use in a Silver Surfer deck that makes it versatile the same way Kazar does with the 1 cost, and I think that's why they seem so analogous to me. Um, I
Yeah.
just I'm not saying
I get that.
I'm not
I just
saying oh upgrade that way you can avoid Killmonger. I'm just saying I think it's nice that they gave people who like that play style, you know what I mean, an option.
yeah. I look at its effectiveness, and it's not as effective as Hazard was until Killmonger became a thing.
So,
Um,
well, I don't know. I don't know. I've had some pretty big ass games, and I've had some Silver Surfers beat me in some pretty amazing ways. But I think one of the keys is having Brood, because when you play it, it replicates itself and fills the spot, and they're all 3 cost, and so
I
that's
don't
a
have Brood yet.
big play, man.
Yeah,
That's a big
I don't
play.
have Brood yet.
Yeah, I had the option to get it, but Silver Surfer wasn't my priority deck. I love that deck, but my priority deck was my Shuri Wong Taskmaster deck with Black Panther, and I got Shuri and I got Wong, so I'm fine with it. But so I think for Clintar, you got the versatility of being able to play a lot of cards there because you can effectively play 7 cards there. You know, um,
Because yeah, it's gonna.
yeah, and then the other thing is, if you are finding that it's an issue fighting that symbiote, or finding that that is an issue, Killmonger, Elektra, these are things that can solve that for you. So you have options in terms of if you like to play defensively with decks. But I think that's pretty much gonna handle the locations for this week.
Mm.
So on our super squads this week, we have first up we have a dynamic duo. We have an Avengers level threat with Wave and Death. We call this the Death Wave. And it's nasty because Wave is a 3 cost card, 3 power, and yeah, it's gonna affect both players' hands by reducing or increasing the cost depending on which side of 4 the card fell on, but it's going to make every card in both players' hands cost 4 the next turn. Which, if you're running Death, which costs 9, that's great because you don't necessarily have to run a discard deck to run Death now. You know, or if you are running a discard deck to run Death, you can also throw Wave in there just in case shit did not quite go your way. But this gives you the option to run Death in other kinds of decks as a Storm Jess Jones kind of combo or a Tuma Armor kind of combo, where like you get 2 cards that synergistically work well together. And you can make a 15-point play with those, you know, without having the negative effects of like a Typhoid Mary or a Red Skull, and you can play it by turn 4, like mid-game play, 15 points. I mean, Storm Jess Jones is only a 10. Armor Atuma Storm is a 15, so that's right on par with that. And you only need 2 cards instead of 3 to make that play, so that makes that even better. That's pretty nasty in my opinion.
Yeah, I've run not this combo in particular, but I've run up against Wave a fair amount, and
Yeah.
yeah, wave can I can definitely see the effectiveness of
Yeah.
putting wave in a deck with death, or in a deck with like an infinite,
Yep.
um, especially if you pull infinite first hand,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because
On the
then you can
initial
just
draw.
play
Yep.
nothing. Because you can just play nothing on like I don't know, turn
Right.
three.
Right.
Well, maybe not turn three, but you know what I
Turn
mean.
4, yeah.
Turn four, and be able to lay infinite turn five as opposed to turn six,
Well, you'd have to.
which means
What would you do to get death? Well, are you playing Infinite instead of death in that scenario? Is that what that is?
yeah, I would
Okay.
play infinite with death.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, that's actually a pretty. The only thing is, how do you? The only thing with that is, how do you get waves 4 to stay on him? Because it's only for the one turn, so you couldn't play Infinite like right after. So I don't know if it would work to pull him
Well,
out, but it would work for like a death. It would work for like other like 6 cost cards and stuff that you want to put out earlier. It
yeah,
does.
you're right. But it would work for like oh, what's that card? 15 power. I forget. My brain is like I don't know what card I was thinking of. There was another card that wasn't infinite. That was a 6 cost card.
Right.
Ah, it'll come to me at some point. Can't think of it right now.
No sweat. But yeah, I think with Death Wave that gives you synergistic options with like um, heavy hitting 6 cost cards that aren't infinite, like Hulk or whatnot, just purely because you could play them on turn 4. Um,
Hulk would be a decent one, but
yeah,
Hulk is easier to beat.
yeah, but it would allow you to play. That was just like one off the top, but it would allow you to play a strong 6 cost card on turn 4, and you could go Death Wave Taskmaster, right? And then on turn 5, lay down another fucking big ass 6 cost power card because Taskmaster being a 5 cost with the copy of your last play copies that big power, and then you
You
still have your turn 6 to drop another fucking giant card on them. I mean, you basically
you could
turn.
also do you could also do Moon Girl Wave Devil Dino.
Where would you play Moon Girl turn wise in that? Because if Waves played on turn 3, I mean, I could see you doing it if you had like a Psylocke or something, but I'm just because you want to get Moon Girl out ahead of Devil Dino to get 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
So she's
So
already
I
a
would
4 cost, so
I
I'm
would
not sure where you'd use Wave with that.
see I was thinking what I was thinking was if you get a situation where Devil Dino wouldn't give you enough power, right? So like you're playing an Infinite deck, for example, and you're afraid that they're gonna skip turn five and pull Infinite turn six. You could lay um, you could lay Moon Girl turn four, right? Wave turn five, turn six. You'd lay Devil Dino, and you'd still have energy left over to lay another card
Okay,
in your hand.
okay. I mean, if you were doing something like that, you could consider a card like Maximus to round that out,
Yeah.
right? Because I think you'd have 3 left to play.
You could do you could do wave you could do wave in a Silver Surfer deck,
Yeah, she'd be good
right?
in a Silver Surfer deck if you had a
Because
high cost card for turn 4,
it would bring Odin down,
like
which is a high
early,
cost card.
and then you could use Ironheart Silver Surfer in turn 6 or something like that, as opposed to
Yeah,
Odin in turn
yeah,
6 on top of having to have played Silver Surfer prior. That gives you a
yeah.
good max value situation. Yeah, I'd say that makes it a good combo there, and you could consider Death as part of a Silver Surfer deck that people might not see coming in that way too.
Yeah, because it's kind of out there, right?
Hmm.
Not a typical combination.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, that would take some experimenting.
yeah, you'd have to
But
see how well that would work, but some ideas to kind of knock around in terms of things you could run with a Death Wave combo. Um, and Wave gives you lots of options just of herself. Um, you could run, you could even run like a Psylocke play, you know, um, or I mean, sorry, an Electro play, you know, and make like all the cards cost less. Uh, Even more so. So then when she makes something cost 4, it costs like 3, and then you could really have something going. I mean, that would be kind of. But if you with that, you'd want to do Psylocke ahead of it, just But that gets complicated. And then with Electro, you can only play the one card, so it does have that trade off, and you wouldn't get the double card value like you were talking about in turn 6. But yeah, there's some interesting things you could do with Death Wave, definitely, and it could fit into a few decks, which I think is an essential component of any kind of mid turn combo, which this would be on 3/4. So
especially as the game matures and you start getting more people that have strategy, like
yeah,
um, having a deck that's got more than one option
yeah, which was
is
what people went for with the Infinite deck because it had mid turn combos and multiple ways to hit the end turn.
yeah, and you didn't always have to rely on Infinite if you didn't
Yeah,
want to.
and it didn't always necessarily look like that deck coming until you skip turn 5.
Until you've already skipped turn 5,
Yeah,
and then it's too late.
yeah, it's usually too late by then because you've already gotten them baited in.
Yep.
Yep. And so then our next threats are starter do trios. The first of which is Odin Leader Magic. Wait, no, sorry, that's the second one. My bad.
Yep.
The
First
first
one
one
is
is
Odin.
Odin Wong Gambit. Um,
Odin Log.
Now, we touched on that one a little bit earlier because you can basically put Wong down, then throw Gambit down with another 2-cost card, and then you can throw Odin down on top of them. Basically, Gambit, he might discard stuff from your hand, but I mean, honestly, by that point, why do you care? And
Unless it accidentally discards the card.
right, unless it discards the one you need. But I mean, if you manage to get just Wong and Gambit out and it kills Odin, okay, whatever. You still decimated, a chunk of their playing field because while it discards cards out of your hand, it kills cards on their playing field,
Yeah, yeah.
which
What?
is very Gambit because he
Yeah,
throws cards
yeah,
and then kills stuff. So it makes sense.
yeah.
But if
Makes it a lot easier to win a game that way.
yes,
They've got
yeah, right. And if you get beaten by it with Odin on top, that's half or more of the opposing playing field. I mean, at that point, night night nurse, man. Just call it. It's over.
Could you imagine like that with Odin on top, but also having one of the put this card in another location?
Yeah, imagine replicating all of them. That'd be like, I don't even have cards. Gambit's just destroying like me now, and oh god, Gambit hit me so hard my game uninstalled. Like I don't even know what happens at that point.
That would be disgusting.
That would be disgusting. I had a play that was kind of like that. That was disgusting, but not in a destroy everything you love kind of way.
I want to do that now.
See.
I'm gonna do that to somebody.
All right, so we'll be back after we amend the original weekly bugle so that Jer's like, yeah, that Gambit card's worth it. Not really though.
Yeah, no.
Gambit as a card, the base card though, ooh, sexy. Remy LeBeau,
Yeah,
all day.
that,
Then
solid.
our next one is actually the Odin Leader Magic.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one.
So the way this one works, and I got beat by this one over the past week, and it was very interesting. So the way this one works is you play Magic to get your 7-turn game going by turning a location into limbo.
Yeah.
Now you can play Odin on turn 6, and dude's just going, yeah, whatever, dog. And then boom, leader on turn 7. Wait, what?
Well, damn.
because I forgot about him because you didn't play him on 6. Wait, what? It's kind of a little bit of a juke play, and you might not see it coming. So this is one to watch out for. If you see Magic played, and then you know Leader played, they're probably going to drop an Odin on you in the end because they're going to make Leader play twice, and that's going to suck.
Magic would work well in that Silver Surfer 3 cost deck too, because
Yeah.
I often don't play Odin because I end up playing
Yep.
Silver Surfer Ironheart turn
That's
6.
actually, yeah.
Somebody else turn 6, right?
Yeah.
So if I had a 7th turn, I often draw Odin, but I'm often not in a place to play Odin because I need to get Silver Surfer out.
Yeah.
Right?
Similarly, you could use Psylocke for a turn 5 or a turn 4 if you don't have a turn 3 to play on 5. Or, I mean, a 3 cost to play on 5. Now, granted, on turn 4, you're going to play a 3 cost and have 1 left over, so Psylocke's probably not going to happen as often, but you also sometimes get bad draws, so you never know. But yeah, that could work real good.
That could and I mean they wouldn't see it coming.
It would
really.
It would also kind of be a bit of a screen, kind of a screen to the play, as it were, because they'd be like, Magic. Oh, I'm gonna look out for this other shit. Oh, that was Silver Surfer.
Yeah. It's kind of like playing into the like what we were said at the beginning of this segment was like it looks like Silver Surfer deck until Magic appears.
Yeah.
So like it plays into the opposite of that, where it looks like it's Silver Surfer. See Magic, they're like, oh, it's not Silver Surfer, it's this, and then you're like, oh, but it is Silver Surfer, bitch.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
Counter onto the counter onto the,
Yep. Because it looks like Silver Surfer, but then, Magic appears. And then you're like, yeah, well, I'll flip it on you. Silver Surfer appears. Exactly, yep. But yeah, if you see what looks like a Silver Surfer deck, but then Magic shows up, probably just bounce because they're going to drop this Leader Odin shit on you. And Leader's going to play twice, so that basically means 2 turns you can't do anything unless they've filled their side. So also a way to see this coming, aside from just Magic being played, is do they have a lot of places with not a lot of cards? Did they skip a number of turns before turn 5? If you're saying yes to one or more of these things, expect this when Magic drops.
Just retreat.
Yep, 100%. Just retreat. Because you're not going to beat it. The only way you can beat this is to not play, but if you have to play to win, then you're already fucked, and you're going to lose 2 turns to it. So
99% of the games you're going to have to play to win.
Yeah. Now, there is a way to kind of like get around Leader, but the problem, again, with this one is that Leader's going to trigger twice. The way you get around Leader is playing Taskmaster turn 6 after playing a powerful turn or a powerful 5 cost. Because Taskmaster copies the power of the last card you played. Well, hey, I just played a fucking 1024 Black Panther over there, bud. So Taskmaster's about to pop off. You played Leader. Enjoy your 4-power Taskmaster, dog. So Taskmaster is a very, very powerful counter to a Leader situation. The problem here is, if you're not winning after your Taskmaster turn, they get to drop Odin for 8, trigger Leader again, and you can't take your turn because you've seen him now. Because you know that Odin's coming in turn 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the squads we have, and then our deck of the week using squads. I swear I have it.
You called it
Shirley Wong.
Shirley Wonginess.
Shirley Wongest. There it is.
Psylocke, Wong, Shuri, Black Panther, and Taskmaster.
Well, see, I called it this because there are a lot of Wong decks out there, right? A lot of Wong decks. Like, you've got so many versions where he combos with cards that like does nasty power. I mean, you even use him in Silver Surfer. You know what I mean? Like, I have a deck. You know, I had a Silver Surfer deck I called Rad Riders, right? And then I got Wong and I named it Rad Wong. Then I got Shuri, and it's like, this is an even better Wong. So I named it Surely Wongest, because surely there is no Wonger deck than this. Like, this is the Wongest of all Wong decks. Like, he is the most Wong right here in this deck that he could possibly be. That's what it feels like. Like, he has the most synergistic power right here. So I named it Surely Wongest because I like puns, and it has Shuri, so Surely Wongest. Now, the way this one works, you have some low cost stuff to be able to do stuff and do stuff that helps you. So Nightcrawler 2+ movement, that's just always a little useful. Psylocke, she makes the big wombo combo possible. Okoye, she buffs up all those 5-cost cards that are probably still sitting in your deck if you didn't draw them yet and need them because she's in your hand. And then Hood, well, Oro gave me the idea for this. Now, the Hood introduction, you're thinking, well, you get -2. Yeah, but he gives you a 1-cost, 6-power demon. So you play this somewhere that you're basically just like, I might give this location to you. I don't know. You find out. Drop Hood there. Turn 1. Now you got this demon. And I know you're thinking, oh man, but if I don't get like cards I can play early, and I'm waiting on Shuri and Wong plus, a big 5 plus Taskmaster, or a big 5 plus another big 5 or whatever, man, I'm just gonna play that demon now. No. That demon's for later. You hold on to that demon. That demon's for turn 6. If you manage to get more than one demon, okay, do something different with them. That's fine, because you got like a Bar Sinister or Baxter building, whatever, or I'm not a Baxter, but Bar Sinister or Sinister London or the Cloning Vats or whatever it is that allows you to get more than one. But the key here is you play it on turn 6 because you're going to play another 5-cost card, hopefully Taskmaster. And that gives you an extra 6 to drop somewhere. Powerful card, turn 6. And unless they drop a Killmonger after you reveal, there's really not a lot someone can do to just rough up that demon. And there's not a lot of people playing Killmonger turn 6. I mean, it happens. There are those decks, but you don't see it as often enough that this play is going to hurt you versus help you.
It's more often than it's going to happen. Because you're playing, they think you're playing a lower cost deck, so they're going to want to liquidate as much as possible.
Yeah. So then, where this deck ramps up, the ideal play is Hood, Psylocke, Wong, Shuri, Black Panther, Taskmaster. That's the ideal play. If you can play in that order, you have a demon to play with your Taskmaster on turn 6 like we talked about, but also Psylocke allows you to play Wong 1 turn early on turn 3 because he's a 4-cost, which allows you to play Shuri where you played Wong, which gives you double power, right? Then you put Black Panther down. He doubles himself, so he gets double power, so he gets fucking swollen as fuck. He's just like fucking chadding out over there with like a 64. I think that's what happens there. And then you have your Taskmaster. Well, now he's a 64 too. Plus you got a 6 you can drop somewhere. Like, there's basically no fucking hope. And even if they're like turn 6, I'm going to Shang-Chi that Black Panther you put up. Cool story, bro. I'm going to drop a demon somewhere else to win the other location out from under you anyway. You know what I mean? So, very powerful if you get them all to draw them in that order. But, say you don't get Black Panther, you can still play Arrow, right? And get like a 16, plus moving people to where you played it. So, like, if you've played Shuri and Wong, you've only got 4 power there, plus, your big card, right? You might be like, I don't need to win this one. Or you might be like, you know what? I'll see what shakes, and maybe the demon will be enough. And that's where that demon comes into play, right? So that's where that's very powerful, especially if you don't draw Black Panther. Or you could play Gamora, knowing that they're probably going to play a certain spot where you'd played that maybe. Or Black Bolt, you play him under a Wong Shuri situation. Now he's deleting like 2 cards, and he's a 16 or a 32 or something like that. I think he's a 32 if you have a Wong under a Shuri. Same with like, Arrow. So bringing cards toward Arrow under a Wong Shuri combo is like, who cares? What could they possibly play on turn 5? And then you could fill up that location on them too, and then they're like screwed. They can't beat you, you know. Additionally, the Black Bolt play, he kills 2 cards and gets swole. Gamora, she would do a reveal twice, right? +5/+5, so she's +10 on top of whatever the 7 would combine to from Shuri in the first place, which would, I believe, be 21 or 28. And from that point, that card's getting really large, really fast. So even without Taskmaster, this deck can be pretty big. But with Taskmaster, when you draw it, even better. So pretty much, you can drop some nasty plays. This past week, had a couple Black Panthers that were 1,024 power when I was done.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
It's totally disgusting. It's super disgusting.
That's just not fair.
It's really not, but it's fucking fun to play. It is so fun to play. So if you have Shuri and Wong, Taskmaster, Black Panther, Psylocke, and Hood, I highly recommend it. And then if you have Shuri and Wong, Taskmaster, and Black Panther, you can still build around this, because you don't have to. You could play an either or Wong or Shuri, depending on which one's going to benefit you most. If you don't get to play both, you know what I mean. So it's a very strong deck. It's a strong deck, even if you don't draw your ideal hand too, which is, I think, what makes it really, really powerful. Like, you can still put up big numbers even without the ideal situation.
That just makes me shake my head.
I like big numbers. And I don't like to do a lot of small, quick math on a turn, because autism, I can't think in numbers in my head very well. So I like big ones, because I'm like, I will win this. Because I'm just adding like 2 numbers, which is a lot easier for me than like 7. But yeah, very powerful deck. Definitely my favorite. And yesterday and whatnot, and the day before, I finally cracked Diamond with it. So I was struggling with my Infinite deck, grinding very slowly. Put this in, and it was just literally like fucking nitrous oxide right to the fucking fuel lines, and we climbed. So it was pretty good. I enjoy this. I'm gonna play it more today on stream, actually. So yeah. But that's it for Super Squads. Next up, we've got a new segment that we call Counter Culture, which is about specific counters to powerful cards, or cards with powerful abilities, or counters to known Super Squad threats that we've been talking about. So here we go. So in this one, the first thing we've got is Wong versus Storm, and so in terms of countering, one of these cards will win, and one of them will be like the loser, and that'll tell you who counters who. So in Wong versus Storm, Wong wins. Black Panther plus Arnim Zola duplicates Black Panther to the floodplain. Wong wins. He's got some other strong combos where it's like the floodplains are irrelevant. Like he'll still just help you win the 2 that are remaining. So Wong wins. We've seen
this counter. I agree. Wong wins in that situation, but pretty much 100% of the time.
Yeah. You'd have to really draw badly around Wong to not be able to pull that off.
I don't agree with your second one, though.
Well, first off, we got to talk about Storm loses and why. So, Storm loses because she's a 2-power card, and without movement, you can make about the largest combo of a 2-cost 3-power armor with a Tuma for a 15-point play, like we've talked about before. Otherwise, you get that more common Jess Jones 10-point play that we've talked about before. And an opponent with an Attuma could tie that on a single card, and it's already likely you won't play Storm on an occupied location if possible. So you're just going to end up playing on the other two locations like we talked about and winning by using Wong's power on one and your other powerful cards to just straight up beat him on the other. The second one in counterculture is Taskmaster plus Shuri plus Wong versus Odin plus White Tiger plus Wong. And in my opinion, Taskmaster, Shuri, and Wong win. And I think Jared disagrees, but I'm curious to see why. I'm gonna let him go because I feel like letting him go only walks it right into what I'm saying, which is exactly what happens deck versus deck with these two. So I'm just going to let him talk.
See, here's the thing. One, I misread it. I didn't know. I totally skipped Odin in the White Tiger. My whole philosophy behind this was it was 3 cards versus 2 cards, and I'd rather have a play that relies on 2 versus 3, because if I don't get the third, then I'm fucked.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, but it is 2 3-card plays around Wong.
So, keeping that in mind, if it was just White Tiger Wong wins.
Fair enough.
Over Taskmaster, Shuri, and Wong. Simply because you get more power from Shuri, Wong, Taskmaster. But you're relying on getting all 3 of those for your master play, whereas if it's just White Tiger Wong, notice I'm not saying Odin, because I often don't have time to play Odin.
Yeah, I could see that.
2 7 powers.
You'd have to have a hell of a turn 6 though to make up for it, because what comes before Taskmaster is what makes Taskmaster so powerful on turn 6.
If you're going against that same deck, yeah, you would have to have a hell of a turn 6. But I mean, the chances going up against that same deck. Keeping in mind, I haven't played in like a week.
I mean, I haven't seen too many of the Odin White Tiger Wongs, but I will say this: Shirley Wong has beat them all.
And I wouldn't even put Odin. I'd put some other card. I'd probably put like a Chavez instead of Odin.
Well, see, the thing with Odin there, right, is Wong with White Tiger means you get 2 tigers. Odin on top of that means you get 4 tigers. So the thing is, it basically Wong makes Wong will make the tiger yield 2 of them, and so that's 14. So it'll total 28 in the end. The thing is, the Wong Shuri Taskmaster, 5-cost cards average 8 power. So at this point, you're literally like, it's 3 cards plus the rest of my deck. Let me draw any of them at random. I don't care. And that's the strength, is that the White Tigers are not, because they're 7 power, they're 1 below the average. So a Taskmaster Shuri Wong deck would have to draw a really bad 5-cost. You'd have to draw Gamora without getting the reveal to be on that same situation. But otherwise, you're getting a 32 power card, and then Taskmaster's going to dupe it, which is a 64 power play. And the White Tigers can only give you 28 power total. So 64 versus 28, Taskmaster Shuri Wong win it all day.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see going up against like those 2 decks being side by side. You know what I mean?
Well, I got a screen grab coming that'll blow your mind then.
Well, no, I I know what you're referring. I'm just like, I again, I completely excluded Odin from my
Oh
half of
yeah.
my
Well,
argument
yeah. No, I get that. That's why I'm not even thinking about that anymore. I'm just
because
these
like
two.
I don't like Odin. I think Odin's a waste. Any deck that uses Odin, you're not gonna win, in my opinion.
I don't know about that.
If, if it's a deck that requires Odin to win, like he
Well, I mean,
requires, he
any
can't
deck that
play.
requires one card to win is a 1 in 12 chance you're going to win. 1 in 12 matches, you're going to put down what you need to win. So, I mean, yeah.
I just don't think that Odin, for what he costs,
I disagree on the power of Odin. I think you just have to play him in the right places and the right situations. In fact, I'm going to bust out the spreadsheet with the superhero squads that will get updated with the latest version of the superhero squads today. The super squads will get updated. The rest of the spreadsheet will change. Will maintain functionality, so you can just copy pasta the super squads tab. But yeah,
I mean, I get that, but my I guess I don't like that it limits me. Whereas the White Tiger Wong, like I don't like
so
Odin. I guess
Odins that are strong, aside from Odin Wong.
I mean Odin's in my Silver Surfer deck too, and I barely play him.
Yeah, but that's because he's one of two options, and he's like the ideal one that you have to have your entire that's like me drawing Hood, Psylocke, Wong, Shuri, Black Panther, Taskmaster. You know what I mean? Like it's just the ideal play. The difference is that deck doesn't insulate against not drawing the ideal play. But other powerful Odin combos aside from just Odin Wong specifically. Um, so we have Odin Leader Magic. That one's powerful, right? Because Odin makes two leaders. It takes away 2 turns from your opponent and gives you their exact play both times. So if you don't fill up your side much and you've gotten just 3 cards, you win because you get to play like as many cards as you want on 2 turns, basically, from leader. And you've got magic, and Odin. So that one I think is extremely strong, and you're not relying on drawing out like a bunch of cards or having to get a bunch of stuff or rely on the specific thing for Odin to like make it work. It's more just that deck is awesome, and if also Odin, fucking sweet, you know. So I think that's the one deck where Odin is like extremely powerful, extremely powerful. I could see another situation wherein if you have like a Psylocke situation, or maybe even Electro could work for this, to reduce energy costs, or give you energy boost for a turn, you would be able to get an Arnim Zola and a Black Panther out, right? Potentially, and then still drop an Odin on like one of the Black Panthers and double him up again, or drop him on Arnim Zola if like you had 2 powerful cards. One was Black Panther, one was another. I don't know what it would be, but like and like let Arnim Zola split that other one again, and then now you've got that power at the 2. So I could see Odin, having that in some situations, but like so many things rely on ongoings like Patriot and stuff like that for strong decks, like the Patriot Blue Marvel Ultron we'll talk about at some point uh, in the upcoming episodes. But things like
I
that,
mean, Mike is not
yeah,
relying on Kazar. It's pretty good. Like
yeah.
you know,
But relying on Odin for like re-reveals can be problematic because you have to get it at the right time. A card that's like ongoing with buffs and stuff like that, which is why Wong is so powerful. Allows you to continuously do stuff out of order, even, and get what you need from it still. But that's pretty much super squads, and that's it for counterculture. So um, next up, we'll have a superhero system where we talk about the poker of it all. So on this week's superhero system, we have a couple different graphics. We'll put up the first now. It's just a little fun one because we're talking about what if the cubes were chips or money? What if they had actual value, like real world monetary value? What if they did? Would you play any different?
I would play differently. Um, Keeping in mind how I started playing this game, I was very aggressive and snapping very often um, until I started tracking. Um, so like I wouldn't be nearly, especially starting it when I first started playing, I wouldn't have been nearly as aggressive as I was. Although I can say now that I'm tracking things, like my aggressiveness
Right.
has certainly
Definitely,
changed.
yeah, been more calculated.
Yeah, but I think even still, I'd
Yeah.
probably still be a little more conservative even than what I am now. Because
Right.
there have been situations where I've known in my head, I'm like, hey, I probably shouldn't play this. I probably should retreat. But I wanted to wait and see. And if it was real money, I probably wouldn't have waited to see.
Right.
I would have just listened to my head and said, hey, you know, call it here.
Right.
Because like my gut says you're gonna lose. So um, I'm not gonna want to sit for that turn five and lose four instead of two if it was real money, right?
Right. Right. Um. Yeah. So, like, you'd definitely be more
That
tentative of the risk involved than if
that
it
being said,
was.
I think I would like option. Question number two is would it cause you to snap less? Um, it wouldn't cause me to snap less, but it would cause me to retreat quicker.
Okay. Okay. Um. See, so this was the thing I learned playing poker a while back. I used to play a lot of it in my 20s, and I would sit just playing all day. And I didn't lose money because how else would I sit playing it all day? You know what I mean? So the one thing that I learned was even if it is money, pretend it's not. That's the key element here. So why the tracker helps me, for example, is the cubes, right? They don't have value except for climbing in rank, and I like climbing in rank. So I get like, damn, I need to get the cubes because I'm not climbing. But instead of being like that, I just sit there and go, win, lose, irrelevant. Play the odds, play the game, play the way I play. Over time, I'll get the gains, and I just keep that like sort of like, you know, boot disc in my head, as it were, and that is always just like right there. That's my root piece of like information to work from, and everything else follows. So, would I use fewer snaps? Would I be more tentative of the risk involved? No, because I would. I would carry the exact same about the value of what's happening because I would be basing my valuation of it on odds and all that stuff that I'm already doing anyway. Like, it would have zero effect on me. Like if I was playing this, say, in tournament play or something, zero effect because it's like, one, I don't have the money to start with, so who cares? Two, if I win the money, cool. If I don't, whatever. Three, if I win the money, you know, like, is it any different than if I didn't? No, because I didn't have it to begin with, right? But, um, it's cool if it happens. So I just play the game because I'm playing the game the way I would play the game. I'm not concerned with win loss in anything other than tracking it for the sake of making sure I know that I'm climbing or playing a certain way or playing efficiently and that I'm not making multiple mistakes. Like I can see the ones that I've made and go, okay, let's shore this up a bit because I'm slipping from my boot disc here. I need to reboot it, get it back in there, right? And so, I wouldn't covet my cubes for that literal financial value. I wouldn't covet like the way I wouldn't covet poker chips, right? I'd be playing the same way regardless. And I think that's important because let's say this did go to the pro scene, and I think once we get intentional matching, we will see the pro scene develop. And if there's tournament play and prize money involved, you can't think any differently about what you're going to do than if you did have the prize money not there, because prize money, purse, win loss, you gotta operate the same. That's the key.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And so I'd say being tentative of the risk involved plays against that system, right? And the system uses all available information to calculate and reason toward the most consistent cube gains. The system only works if you do not focus on the risk, but focus on the calculation and reasoning. So it's all about just leave that boot disc in there. Just remember that's what the whole thing is, And then using fewer snaps out of fear of losing cubes causes you not to maximize your earning potential on winning hands, which makes it significantly harder to grind upward in the ranking system because you're not just losing cubes by losing, you're losing cubes by winning. And you don't want to lose cubes when you're winning. And so that'll create a general downward trend because your wins are less, impactful, and your losses, have the same net effect, except you're piling losses on top of losses because you're not maximizing cube gain. So that said, that'll lead to bouts of tilt, and we'll talk about tilt next episode, which comes from the old world of pinball arcade machines and getting pissed off at the damn thing and smacking it, and then the game goes tilt because you're trying to get the ball into the hole by picking up the game. Yeah, definitely. But we'll talk about tilt in the next superhero system. But right now we're going to talk about things that should dictate your play and play style, things that should matter to you. And the first one is power per location, or PPL math, right? You wanna think about, straightforward, the power you have per location. Might have, per location with specific draws, power your opponent might have at given location, along with the gap between that and your power there, at each individual location matchup, or things like Baxter building we talked about before that can affect, your power per location. That math is pretty straightforward. It's pretty additive for the most part. Now the next one's where it gets complicated, and this is one where we got another graphic for you. So if you want to digest it easily, or get a screen grab of it, this would be the time. But we're going to talk about pot odds. Now pot odds is definitely another carryover from poker, and what we're going to talk about now is how to maximize them. So how to turn your aggression into the most gains possible mathematically. So before a snap and until turn 6, the pot is always worth 2 cubes. It's just always worth 2 cubes. There's literally no reason to not draw and continue to see cards until the pot is worth more than 1 cube to you. Because you put in a cube, he put in a cube. So there's no reason to not see more cards, like if there's only that at risk. Just via entering the hand, you've risked that cube. So never ever retreat unless the pot odds change in some way that dictates your need to retreat.
Like them snapping because they drew a perfect hand, or you just had no way of winning. Like you played to turn 5, and there's no giving your hand and given the point differences on each location. You're like, there's no way I can win 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna retreat.
Exactly.
Regardless of snap or not.
That said, though, 2 cubes, as you can see on the graphic, equals a coin flip, which is 50-50. And 50-50, if you're requirement in terms of odds, that's not too bad. So where Jer's talking about, man, going into turn 6, you're fucked. What we're talking about here is you're going into turn 6 thinking, he could win, I could win. It's pretty much a coin flip. I mean, it's anybody's at this point. Okay, well, 2 cubes is worth that because that's a literal coin flip. So go for it.
even 4 cubes could be worth it given situation.
I mean, I don't take coin flips at 4 cubes, but or 8 cubes, but that's just part of my system. I mean, you could certainly
I
do it
think
if
like
you think you'll win more of them than you'll lose, but I don't like to gamble on
I
coin
mean
flips.
if you're in a situation where you know the type of deck they're playing
But
and
that's
like
that's
you
better than a coin flip. That's a like a better than 50% certainty you're gonna win. That's not a coin flip. That's that's
but
that's more like what we're gonna get to about the 80% certainty threshold for 4 cubes. That's more like that where you're talking about you think you're probably gonna win, even if you don't think you're
well no
definitely gonna
I
win.
mean there are situations where you're like it's 50-50, but I stand
I mean, 50-50 is
a good chance.
50-50. You can't stand a
I
good chance because it's 50-50. That's not math. I appreciate what you're trying to say, but it's not math. And what you're trying to say is the thing I think I'm about to say. So we'll just move on. So at 1 or 2 snaps before turn 6, the pot is still only worth like the 2 cubes, right? Whether both players snapped or only one player snapped, the pot's worth 2 cubes instead of 1 cube, right? So before it was just worth one. Then at turn 6 it becomes 2. Now it's worth 2 at turn 5. At the end of turn 5, right? Like during turn 5, it's worth 2. So entering after turn 4, that's the issue here. But it's if you have at least a coin flip chance, it's worth it to stay in for the 2 cubes, which is what I think Jeremy was trying to say. But it means you're going to get the cubes as often as you're losing them, which is what I was trying to say. And with that calculated and reasoned risk, you should still gain like slightly more. Like he is right that you should gain slightly more, but it's still a like I think that's where he was getting confused, right? You were trying to say you'll still win slightly more, but the odds are still 50-50, right? That's what you're trying to say? I think that's what you're trying to say.
kind of, but
Kind
not
of,
really.
but
But
not
I don't
really.
really have the words. Yeah, but I don't really have the words right now to.
Well, we'll put that in a future episode then when you got them
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So on 1 snap on turn 6, this is where the math gets a lot different though. This is now for turn 6. So before it was still a 50-50 coin flip on a turn 5 because it's on 1 snap or 2 snap because it's two cubes, right? It's a 50-50 coin flip whether you want to see turn 6. But the difference happens once you get to turn 6. That's when everything's important. So 1 snap, turn 6, the pot's worth 4 cubes. Now you've committed 2 cubes, not just the one. You've committed 2, and you're considering whether or not to fold while you're still out there. Out of there knowing you failed the coin flip but minimized cube losses, right? So at this point you should have ascertained that it's like an 80-20 chance to win, if you want to like stay in the hand and play it and not retreat. And as you can see below, at that point, 80% certainty times 4 cubes equals plus 3.2 cubes for every minus 0.8 cubes. Sorry. And so that basically means that if you adhere to these pot odds and only risk it when you have about that much gut certainty, yes, you're going to get hit by things you didn't see sometimes, but those will be rare if you're following the system. So 80% certainty gives you 3.2 cube gains. So you're basically getting 3 cubes for every one you lose, and then slightly more. So that's a consistent grind upward if you're betting them in those conditions. But on 2 snaps, then on turn 6, the pot, well, at that point it's worth 8 cubes, and that's the big one. You don't see these a lot, but when you do, you want to go into them with a 90% certainty to push it. You don't want to have anything less than about 90% going in to that, because that's a big loss if you do. So your losses here should be like the times that oopsie doodle, I didn't see that, or oh, he had a thing I thought he had no way of having there because of such and such or something. But if you have 90% certainty at that point, you gain 7.2 cubes to the same, just minus 0.8 cubes. So that way your cube losses are still just 1. And what this does is it teaches you when to retreat and when to push in a manner that makes all losses at high cube levels over time, not for each individual one, because yes, when you lose, you're losing 8 cubes, don't get me wrong, but over time, if you're to track those times that you went for 8s, and times that you push. Now granted, right now we don't have a way to know whether you pushed for 8 and they folded, but we can try to implement that in the future. So but given that sometimes you won't win the 8 cubes, you'll just get 4, or you won't win the 4 cubes, you'll just get 2 because they folded on that turn 5. You should have a 1 cube loss per every 7.2 approximately. Well, so I rounded it a little bit. You know what I mean? So it turns your losses effectively into retreats, and that keeps you constantly gaining and not losing. And when applied well and applied correctly, I switched from my Infinite to my Shuri deck, my Shirley Wong deck, and my problem with Infinite was that I wasn't having the certainty when I needed it because I have to skip turn 5, and so unless I had like Daredevil played or something, I was actually losing more cubes than I wanted to be losing. But when I switched to the Shirley Wong deck, I didn't have to worry about that turn 5 like that anymore, and I was able to apply this consistently, and I legit went about 6 ranks up yesterday, so in like 3 hours of stream.
The other problem with the Infinite deck is it's very predictable because they can see you skipping turn 5.
Yeah, and usually you've got a sunspot. Yeah.
So they can plan around that a lot easier than they can their Wong deck.
Yeah, so it's getting you from both ends because it's hard to minimize losses, like I was saying, and then it's hard to get them to commit to snapping, like you're saying. Yeah.
But at the same time, that also lends to your increased uncertainty of winning because, like, this deck is a little more flexible than the Infinite deck, a lot harder to predict, so you're more certain that you're going to get a win given the right plays prior to turn, 5, 6.
Right.
So you feel a little more comfortable going into this 8 cube situation. Again, not that they happen very often, but when they do, you're more willing to accept them or, quote, risk them,
right.
even though you're not really risking them because you're making an educated guess based on, knowing your deck, knowing what they got coming, what they expect you to do versus what you're actually going to do.
Yeah.
You just end up in a much better situation than you do with a deck like the Infinite deck, which is like, as soon as you skip turn 5, they're going to load up on turn 5.
Yeah, you might as well be standing on the top of a hill doing semaphore like, hey, check it out, I'm doing this play next, with a giant fucking flag. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And more often than not, people will play Infinite at a location that, there's one of 2 ways they're going to play Infinite. They're either going to play them in a location that is close to overpower, or they'll play in a situation that
it's mostly empty.
Is mostly empty, so that they can guarantee that 1 spot victory, leaving you the battle of the other 2, which splits your forces. But if you know that Infinite's coming, you don't have to worry about splitting your forces. Your forces, you can just focus on either spreading that gap or, going to the not empty location and shoring up that location.
Yep.
Because you know that you're not going to win the empty gap because Infinite's going to go there. Or they're either going to lay it at a location that's a little closer contested, and you have to decide if the effect of that location is worth fighting for, or like if it's like a Baxter building or a, what's the name of the place that like puts the power of that location at all the other locations?
Nexus,
that's it. Um, like say for example, you get a closely contested version of Nexus.
Right.
They're probably gonna put Infinite there, so you should
Yeah, buddy.
probably
Or
shore
a
up.
Shuri's Lab where it doubles when you play a card. 40
Yeah,
burger.
right. But it's like you know that going into that because you've seen them skip turn five, so you can plan accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. I think that definitely makes you more predictable with an Infinite deck, especially when people have way more options now with the entrance of all these new cards in tier 4 and 5 for sure. Which,
But I say that to say that like having changed your deck to the Wong deck,
yeah,
it lends to you being more certain in those type situations. I
exactly,
mean,
because it's a late game deck.
yeah.
Yeah, that has definitely helped me with the gains. A late game deck definitely can ensure against that. And
And
so,
again, it goes back to week one of like knowing your deck, right?
yeah, no,
You
yeah,
know your deck, you know the situations that you can pull yourself out of.
right. Which brings us to the next thing that, like, in terms of what you can know and like things that should therefore dictate your play and play style, and that's your
Mm-hmm.
opponent's cards in play. So we were talking about that a little bit with this Infinite situation. You know, if knowing what cards are in play can help you figure out the cards that are in their hand, or even what kind of deck they're running. That's why we say sometimes something's a juke or something like can help be like a screen for some other card drop you're gonna run, because it's uncommon to see them in conjunction, even though they have synergy, because there's something else that's usually betterish at the
The
job,
meta,
and it's
the
meta,
meta.
yeah. So you can kind of play with that, knowing that you can still do great amounts of damage, but throwing one thing in to kind of throw people off. That's kind of like a Gus Hansen play. Poker player named Gus Hansen used to be notorious for playing cards. He's still notorious for it. Playing cards that aren't the meta cards, right? Like aces, pocket pairs, high pocket pairs, um, you know, high offsuits, ace king offsuit or ace king suited, things like that. He would play shit like deuces. He'd play shit like 4 4 7 offsuit, and he would just play them because he knew that the only difference between those cards mathematically was that they were stronger because they're bigger number, like numerically and whatever in the deck. So he knew that ignoring that little slight edge of things allowed him to play the actual odds game outside of that, and let him just independently figure, okay, unless I think they have the absolute nuts hand, they're never going to see my like 3 2s and you know ace high coming or something, and so in terms of this, that's like throwing that magic in there to play 2 leaders, and or throwing that magic in there to play something ahead of leader, and then you're going, wait, what in the what turn 7 leader, oh shit, you know um, and you've already played your taskmaster counter. So knowing the cards in play can help you know when you have the nuts or when they have the nuts versus your what you've got, and then which in conjunction with the solid like PPL calculation, well, that can help you know when to fold and retreat. And then knowing the locations in play, our last thing here for that. These can hurt you or help your opponent, and knowing which ones are likely to hurt you or help your opponent can help you know when, after turn 3, you're more likely to lose. So, knowing like I'm running a Wong deck, for instance, because I played Psylocke and then Wong on turn 3, would allow someone to go, oh, shit, Kunlun's a fucking bad thing because that was the middle location and Wong's on it. Oh shit. Or that was the third location and Wong's on it. Oh shit. Because now Wong is double 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 all the doubles with Shuri. So that would allow you to know. Oh, I'm fucked. Right. So knowing locations in play is huge. But that's it for superhero system, and we'll be back with screen grabs of the week. All right, so the first one we have
is the Professor X on Superflow, right?
Yep, yep. And I called this one Space Throne Party of Four because, I mean, Space Throne, you're only allowed to have one card there per player. Not play one, not move one. No, no, no. One card can sit there. It is a chair, and no, it's not a love seat. So, no, you can only sit one card there. Period. End of story.
You got people sitting on the armrest here, at the back, and oh,
Yup, right. And I've got them like playing the floor is lava at Thanos' fucking living room, and I think that's amazing. So what happened here is, I'd already made my big play basically, and they locked down the Superflow with just Professor X alone, which is only like worth 3. So I mean, what are you gonna do there on location 1? You can't. He's locked it down, but also it's only +3 to every other, or that's for energy. Sorry, I was thinking it was the Nexus. But so that's not going to do much. That's just one location. It's 3, whatever. I only need to win 2 locations, and I already had like all my stuff in play, and I had just moved Nightcrawler, and he dropped Scarlet Witch on turn 5 because my turn 5 was skipping turn 5 and moving Nightcrawler because I knew Atuma would likely end everything on Kunlun. There was just no way. He had no way mathematically.
what was the location prior to the space road?
I honestly don't remember, but they played Scarlet Witch there, and that was bad news bears because it turned it into the Space Throne, and they had already played Professor X because of Superflow, right? They played Professor X on turn 4. You see, so
That's what, like, the location must have been worse for them. Like, it must have been like a -2 power or something for them.
Yeah,
To
I honestly,
think that switching it would be.
right? Like, I'm honestly not sure. I don't really remember what it was. But it was basically, I don't even think it was something that was so harmful. I think it was more just they locked themselves into a situation and they decided to play Scarlet Witch because that's what they had, and for the points along with something else on the other location like a split push.
They would have been better off just saving it and giving it all to Sunspot.
Honestly, because that literally gave me the Space Throne because they couldn't put a big card there to win. They couldn't put anything on Superflow, and they knew Infinite was coming, so they ended up retreating. And that's why I got 2 cubes instead of 4. They ended up retreating at that point. They didn't commit to the turn 6. They were like, fuck it, I'm out.
It's just a weird play. Yeah, yeah. They would have been better because they could have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good
Especially because I think the only reason they played Scarlet Witch there had nothing to do with locations, right? Like I was saying, if you see they got, I think, is that Agent 13 or Angela? I think it's Angela, and Angela, she gets more power as you play cards there. It's like the ongoing version of like Wolfsbane, right? So
it's only +2.
yeah, so it was never going to be enough. But I think they were relying on dropping one last big card there. You know what I mean? And then once they realized they were going to have to drop that card on Kunlun and probably still weren't going to beat me, they retreated.
Yeah, they would have been way better off waiting that turn and giving it all to Sunspot.
Yep, 100%.
Because, yeah, I mean, they still probably would have lost. But
likely, but maybe not, because it's a 10 gap there. If they'd given it to Sunspot, it would have been closer, and they could have dropped the card there too. And they were already winning Superflow. But it was a very weird decision to even try to do a split there for them.
Next one's another retreat. This one...
Yeah.
This one I agree with their retreat.
Yeah, I called this one Sinister Odds. For some reason it's showing up small, so give me a second here.
I mean, basically what happened is you laid Sunspot and Armor at Sinister, right? I'm guessing that was your first, like, couple turns. You laid Sunspot, Armor. Probably.
Yeah, I laid Armor first, and then because I played Nightcrawler at Nidavellir to start, and then he played his Sunspot there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to fuck with that. So then I played Armor at Sinister London and it copied to Atlantis. Then I played Sunspot and it copied to Atlantis. Then I played Jess Jones and it copied to Atlantis. And at that point, I think dude was like, you know what? Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Honestly, getting Jess Jones copied to Atlantis as well was like perfect.
Yep.
Because like pretty much no matter what he played, like he could not play another card.
I basically could skip a turn and get fucking 4 power to each Jess Jones, and then whatever turn that was, probably I think 4, so 5. I'd get like 5 energy or 4 energy to each Sunspot. Yeah, like it was gonna be nasty.
You could skip turn 5 and turn 6, and there's nothing they could do.
Exactly. Like literally, I could just sit there, put my hands back, and go, "Take me to your leader," because that card ain't doing shit.
With turn 5, you'd get 8, so that give you 14 on both.
Yeah.
Right? Plus the 5. So
yeah.
you end up with 19 on both.
It's just
That's
gross.
Just turn 5.
Yeah, it's just gross.
And turn 6, you get another 6.
It's gross.
So you'd end up with, 25 on both of them?
Something like that. It's gross.
What card combination can beat 25?
Well, I can think of some, but he didn't have them.
I mean, it would take probably 3 turns to beat that 25, and he only had 2.
Yep. He was screwed.
So, yeah.
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 The next one I called Time Variance Authority Easy GG because
I don't like TVA at all.
I hate TVA, but there was a negative zone before the TVA, and that just made it so sweet. Because what this dude was counting on, and so the first turn he plays, I want to say he played Nova mid or something like that, or he played the Mysterio, or I forget what happened, but
it's weird that he would lay Nova and Bucky Barnes on different.
Yeah, he played Nova and Bucky Barnes, I think, on turn 1 and 2, and then turn 3 he played Mysterio, or he played Mysterio on 2, and then Bucky, the next, like, either way, long story short, when he played Mysterio, I knew what was going on, because he wouldn't have played it at the Avengers compound, because that's going to suck a card in at turn 5. It'll be too full. Plus, he's got Bucky Barnes there. Okay, he's going to eat that. He didn't play it at the negative zone, because that's not going to help him. And he's got Nova there. He's going to eat that. The real one's the one at the TVA. Oh, look, the real one was the one at the TVA. So basically, once the negative zone was up, he was screwed, because the illusion was going to be -1 or -4 or something like that. I forget. No, -4, yeah. And then, or -3, because it's a 0, right? So -3. And then the Nova, he's only like a 2 or a 1 or something. So the all in all is a -4. Yeah, he's a -1. So then the Avengers compound, I lost that because, I only had a 4, he had a 5. But I didn't even have to do anything at negative zone to win it, because he'd already been playing there. So basically when TVA flipped, I dropped Nightcrawler there because it was the last thing I could play, and I tied it because I knew I would, because it was Mysterio and it was the real one, right? I knew I'd win it and whatnot, because he would have to play the Enchantress on Avengers compound to try to like beat me, because I'd already played Armor. So easy dub.
The Visitor's back.
I see that. This week's guest, Cosmo.
Yeah.
Special ability, on reveal, disables all podcasts.
She kind of looks like Cosmo.
A little bit. Like, she's not a retriever, but she's got the color palette.
And the cat's trying to play with it. Alright, we're good.
Alright, so yeah, I call this one Luke Cage disabled, and it's because they played their Luke Cage on a place that disables him. And it's very weird, because it's the Isle of Silence, ongoing effects here are disabled, and Luke Cage is an ongoing effect that keeps your cards from having their power reduced. And Isle of Silence was the first location, so he knew damn well where he was playing Luke Cage. So I'm just, what? So basically, that ended up costing him because I think there was like a location that like messed up. No, it's his hazmat. That's what it is. His hazmat comes in and makes all the cards get all like negative and stuff, right? But his Luke Cage can't reduce or can't stop hazmat from reducing his side, so he ends up losing. That's what it was. So that was kind of like, bruh.
Yeah, you should have played. Should have played like the extra at Silence instead of Luke Cage. But
yeah. Anything other than play Luke Cage in the one place that it can't help you. Because he would have won. He had his combo, Luke Cage and Hazmat. He would have beat me. Because, you know,
that's
he would have.
not understanding what the location actually does.
Mm-hmm. Or not looking before you play. Like sometimes, you know, people play out of habit. They just go, put him on the left. Because that's the first one. Put him on the left. I got this card. He goes on the left. I got this card. He goes on the left. This one goes on the right. You know, I mean, could just be a thing like that. But very unfortunate for him. But, yeah. They ended up retreating, I think, before it finished.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been a retreat, yeah.
And then this next one... Sorry, the image was being weird. It was fitting earlier, and then suddenly it wasn't. So, at any rate, this one I called Less is More. Because, well, Ranch Wilder, less is more. Angels in the Outfield reference. Anyway, so I called this one Less is More because Avengers Compound was location 1. Avengers Compound was where I played Goose on turn 2. And turn 5, all cards got to be played there. Dude needed to play something powerful, didn't have it available to play there. Didn't really have a good turn 5. It ended up killing his card that he needed because he played something that Lockjaw ate it, put out Lady Sif, killed a card he needed. It was not looking good at that point. This was with my Rad Wong deck. This is Silver Surfer based, but I didn't get my Silver Surfer out. Or if I did, no, I did, and I think I dropped it. No, I did. I dropped it under Lockjaw because look at Rhino, he's 6. So I dropped my Silver Surfer on Lockjaw, and I pulled out my Wolfsbane when I did. So basically, I got 18 there, and then I got 14 at the next one because I got 12 plus Yondu because of the Silver Surfer buff. And then I didn't need Jotunheim. Who cares? He put big cards there, and then he played Hella there on top of an Infinite like I was ever going to touch that spot. So I called it Less is More because I didn't really have to do much, and I won.
Once you had Avengers Compound locked down, it was a pretty good chance of winning.
Yeah. And I don't remember what the location was in the middle, but it wasn't good for me. And so I said, fuck you, and blew it apart.
And then you get your Black Panther combo for the last long
Yes.
Black Panther Fury doubles. So this is the screenshot of
Sorry, I was adjusting it.
combo we were talking about.
Yeah. So this one, I called this one Wakanda Forever. And whenever I make this play on stream, I usually yell Wakanda Forever, motherfucker, or something like that. Because how do you not win with something like this? You know? Like, and dude thought he dropped, like, the biggest shit he could on Sinister London with that 25. He thought he was doing something at Monster Metropolis with a 15. He had a 17 on Xandar. Like, dude literally was like, these numbers are large. I'm in charge. And then I said, Wakanda Forever! Because I had Psylocke, and then Wong, then Shuri.
Almost every situation except that one, he probably wins.
Yeah, if he's not facing my deck, in most situations, he's going to win. But he faced this deck, and I got another sinister odds play because Wong, Shuri, and Black Panther all copied to one spot together. Yeah. So it was nasty.
You would have won even if they didn't like do that. You still would have won.
Yeah, but I mean, 1027 Black Panther. Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So that's our screen grabs of the week. That brings us to our next segment. So for this week, we have one from Malkuvius and then one from my stream. And again, if you guys want to have yours on here, let us know, and we'll put up what we find when we're on social media. We'll also put up with permission, obviously, and we'll put up clips of other streamers and etc. So if you have something, please submit it. But the first one is Malkuvius, and this one's pretty funny.
Okay. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
What?
Oh my gosh!
What?
Wow! That just happened. That just happened. Oh my gosh! That just happened.
Wow, they pulled the hella out for him on the end turn, and she pulls back discarded Magneto, who rips everything away and wins him the game. That's next level luck right there. That was awesome.
That's a bad pull for them. That's RNG at its best.
Right? So good. So I forget what mine was, but my fucking god.
Was it the one that...
Because of the Shuri doubled at Wong and the Shuri at Clintar, right? Black Panther came out before he was even laid down as a 32. So then he was a 64, doubles himself 128, which doubles himself 256. I mean, that is so fucking nasty. It's pretty nasty. That is so nasty. That was the one I did where I didn't have the Sinister London, and I dropped a huge Black Panther that was like 32 in my hand before it dropped. Oh.
Yeah, I was in the chat for that one.
That's so funny. Alright, that's that.
Where each deck fitted, even though I'm prone to snap that. Known to be so quick-witted, you sound Drax when you snap back. When everyone knows it rains Jess Jones on the tap mat. Think your boss sings the flow, administer vision if you're not at the spot I blow with a skip track. You tried to blow back the roof, so my armor said I will skip that. Jubilee still got a +1, Okoye said she's with that. Cause the Nightman cometh, Iceman stunneth, while the Hulkman smashing America ass who done it? Snapverse616. 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 Then Invoke drops Kazar cause he's Mr. Fantastic. His spectrum of skills are what let me handle this rap shit. His puff up, his clutch up, smokes 3 sacks like it's magic. But it's a Wolfsbane classic. You thought your full moon's Jurassic, but it's actually tragic. If I'm a silver fox with the flippity yippity yapping, he's quick like a rabbit. His girls unfurling squirrels while his flirkins hurling antics. Invoke the hawk-eyed watcher who ought to see through your static.